So this Civic finally drives. It works, but if the paint doesn't match, then this rebuild is going to look so cheap. For the most part, this car actually drives really well, but I have noticed just a few little niggly problems that we need to try and get sorted so we can get this car absolutely perfect. Let's get to it. So just a few weeks ago, this is what this car was looking like. When I picked it up from auction, the whole front end was missing, and I really didn't know why. So I gradually started rebuilding it bit by bit, piece by piece, and we even managed to get it started. Then I just needed to fit the bumper and start driving this car. So while I've been driving, I have noticed just a couple of the issues. So the first thing, the rear window demister doesn't seem to be working. So when I press the demister button, so here on the front, that's that one there, you can see that it is for the rear window and the mirrors as well. So when I press it, it does turn on, and it does demist both windows on the front, but I have noticed that the rear window, it just doesn't demist at all. So we need to try and figure out why that's, what the issue is. Hopefully it's just maybe a blown fuse and we could just replace that. But if not, then we might have to take off some trim at the back and figure out what's going on. I'm hoping it's not a broken wire somewhere between the car where we have to dismantle a lot of things. But it's just, especially in winter, it's just a bit annoying that it doesn't work. So we need to try and figure out why. And then the next issue is, you may have caught it already on camera, but this driver's seat squeaks so much. It's so annoying. And so I'm going to take off the back of the seat as well, and then just have a look to see if it might just need a little bit of grease or WD-40. Because that is, no, I can't live with that. So, but let's sort out the demister first, and then crack on with the squeaky seat. So first step was to check the fuses, so I went into the engine bay, and I was really surprised with what I saw. That's what it looks like. I've never seen a fuse like this before. I believe it is this one here, but that doesn't look blown at all. So luckily the fuse seems to be working, so next up was to check the relay. I'm using a multimeter, and honestly, I'm not really sure exactly what I'm checking, but I'm just poking and prodding, and I'm seeing some numbers, so I think they're okay. Okay, so it's not the fuses, and it's not the relay. Next thing is, hopefully it's not a broken wire somewhere between from here all the way to the back of the car. But let's remove some of the trim in the boot, and then have a look at the connection on the demisters themselves, just to see if there's any problems there. So let's do that now. I've also inspected all the grid lines, so I think like the copper grid lines that go across the screen, and there doesn't seem to be any breaks or any cracks in them. They all seem to be intact as well. So let's pull off the trim on the boot, and then fingers crossed we can try and figure out what the problem is. Aha! I think we found it. Now, if we have a look on this side, you can see that looks like it's connected onto the grids. And that's quite stable. But if we have a look on the other side, I think we found the problem. That has come off from there. I think we need to get some kind of adhesive. It'd probably be a special type of adhesive. See, I don't think you can solder onto glass. You'd probably crack it with the heat. So let's get some adhesive and try and get this metal tab connected back onto there. So I managed to find some Permatex rear window defogger. Now, I think this is some kind of electrical conductive adhesive. So hopefully this should do the trick. So I'm just mixing it up properly, just getting it all mixed up. And then just giving the tab and the screen a good clean before applying the Permatex onto it. And I just secure it with a trusty bit of duct tape just so it doesn't move. And then next up, it's onto the seat. So with the help of a good buddy of mine, I managed to find exactly where the squeak was coming from. So we just put some foam in there, just between the plastic and metal bar, and then just tying it up with a zip tie. So hopefully that should do the trick. There we go. So managed to put a little bit of foam sort of between some of the plastic and metal, because I think that's where the squeak was coming from. And no noise. So really pleased, because it's just so annoying. I mean, I'm sure you guys know as well, if there's squeaks when you're driving, it's just, that's the only thing you can hear. But I'm really glad that we managed to get that sorted. So let's move on to the next thing. Because the whole front end was missing, I had to rebuild everything, including the AC condenser, so there was no gas in the car at all. So I popped over to my local Honda because they were actually the cheapest place to do the AC regas. And while I was waiting, I also took a look at some of the newer Civics they have. But in no time, the car was done, ready to pick up, and I was so pleased to see that they actually inspected the car too. And it's all green. Now granted, this is not a very detailed inspection, but at least this is a good start. Right, so we're getting really close to finishing up this car. There's just a couple of things that are left. But the main thing for today is we need to get this bumper off to get it off to the body shop. So let's take this bumper back off and get it to the body shop. Let's go. So I need to strip the bumper off again to get it sent over to the body shop to have it painted. So then this front end finally starts looking like a full car again. So it just involves taking off the radiator cover, some weather stripping, and then the headlight tabs. Then I'll move on to the wheel arches just to prime apart, just to release the bumper, and not forgetting some of the bolts in the undercarriage. Just working from one side to the other and just using a screwdriver to unclip all the clips so then this bumper can come off. Okay, so I think the bumper is ready to come off. Managed to unplug everything, the fog lights, all the clips. There's just one little plastic clip holding it in so it doesn't fall. I've got my trusty little stool to set it on. So let's get this off. Now that the bumper's off, let's get it loaded in the car. Bumper's all loaded up in the good old C-Class. Next step, and the reason why I took one of the tires off is we're going to be removing the fender or the wing. And the reason why that the body shop has a panel to color match. And I could take off the gas cap or fuel filler cap, but it's so far back to the car, just in case there's any imperfections. I figured the wing, because it sits right next to the front bumper, that should be able to allow them to do a really good color match. And the reason why I've chosen this specific, as you may have noticed, obviously there's a little dent just there. So we're going to take this wing off and then take that over to the body shop as well, so that can be repaired and color matched, and then hopefully in a couple of days I'll be able to go back and pick it up. So let's take the wing off. So I'm not 100% sure exactly how this comes off, but I have seen a video a while ago, so we'll just tackle it one step at a time. Alright, that's freed that up. I guess this can stay in there. Now back up top, it looks like this little plastic pin that's connected to the headlight is going into the wing itself. And it does look like there's another 10mm bolt here. So I think we have to take off the headlight just to loosen that, and then take this one off as well. Should allow us just to lift it just enough. There we go. Then we can pull this out. Perfect. This bolt needs to come off as well because it's a tight squeeze. It's probably easier to loosen it by hand. Get that up by hand now. Yeah, perfect. Now I do think that there is one more bolt under this little plastic. See if you can see it just there. So we'll take that one off as well. Now if I remember correctly, this one doesn't have to be loosened all the way, just to make enough space so we can lift it up. Yeah, that seems about right. Right, so we've done the sides. Top bolts are off. I think there's one in the door, sort of behind the door holding it in, but I think we'll save that one for last. I think there's one or two more bolts down to the bottom. So let's pull back some of the arch lining, and then I think we have to take off a little bit of the side skirt as well to access the bolt that's holding it at the bottom. Okay, so a couple Phillips heads. These three need to come out. I think these little push pins as well need to come out. Probably that one up there as well. Just so we can pull this back to access the bolts that I think are just pushed in right through here. So this arch lining is held with just a few screws and clips, so I'm just peeling them off now. And this is where I found something weird. Oh, these look like they're being glued on. I think someone's been here before. Look at that. That's all that silicone. What is that? What is going on? So that white tab has to be pushed out. And I think they'll sort of release the rocker panel side skirts. This was such a fiddly little clip to take out, but I'm just using some pliers and I finally managed to get it. Okay, finally managed to get that out. So that little white tab there was going through, I think, the hole, just where those needle nose pliers are coming through. So now that I've managed to pull this back, there is one more bolt, I think, just holding this bracket, this one here. It's like a L bracket, and the bolt is just where the tip of my finger is. So I'm gonna take that one off next. There we go. Got that bolt out. So the wing is definitely loosening up now. You can see that moving. I don't think we actually need to remove the side skirt at all. So I think it's just that white tab that's holding it there. We should be able to, I think once we remove the bolt that's holding it into the door, this thing should be ready to come out. So let's crack the door open and let's try and find that bolt. So it looks like there's one there, and doesn't look like there's any others. So it might just be that last one. I'm in a bit of a time crunch. So it's now, okay, it's 10 to 3. Now I need to drop this off at the body shop before they close today. And they close at 4:30. So hopefully this is the last bolt. But let's just wait and see. Hopefully, last bolt out. There we go. There we go. One wing off. You see, that was a little dent there. It's quite a little one. So I do wonder, you know, from the back, if it just needs, yeah, I can feel just a slight bump. I don't know, maybe I should give it a go myself. But it's a very small one. Even though we've quite quickly made such good progress on this car, looking at it all stripped down again, it does make me feel like I'm taking a few steps backwards, but I know it's going to be worth it in the end. I've just arrived at the body shop, and I'm going to drop off this bumper, and I've chosen to do it at Bumper Blunders. So I'm going to drop this off to Dom and the lads and let them get to work. So I just went to go pick up this bumper from the body shop, and they have done such a good job. I'm so impressed. Let me show you guys what it looks like. Before we put it onto the car, we have to fit the wing that we took off, because that had a bit of a clean up as well. And then we can fit the bumper, and then we're getting so close. We're almost there. So I'm trying to put the wing back in the reverse order that I took it off. So just sliding it into place and then bolting all the bolts back in, just one at a time, and then lining everything up just to make sure that all the panels fit properly. And then goes back on the indicator light. So now that the wing is on, next step is to put the front bumper. But before we put on the front bumper, we do need to give this car a good clean, and there is a reason why. Now, I'm by no means a car detailer. In fact, I actually hate cleaning cars. But the reason I had to clean this one is because the bumper was freshly painted. I didn't want to touch it with any soap or pressure washing it as well, at least until the paint fully cures. So I thought I'd give everything a good clean just before I managed to fit the bumper back on. And I have to say, I think I did a pretty good job. Now that the car is washed, we can finally put the bumper on. And oh, in this light, this metallic blue looks so good. So good. I can't wait to get this bumper on, because this car is great. All right, let's get the bumper put on. Now, I can't wait to get this freshly painted bumper back onto the car, because I've been waiting weeks for this moment. Now, I'm so proud with the progress that I've made in rebuilding this car. If you guys are too, I'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down below. And to finish up the engine bay, I also picked up some engine covers, because this car didn't come with any, just to neaten everything up and make it look showroom ready. And there we go. This car is nice and clean. It's almost finished. Just the last little bit. Let's put a license plate on, and this car is done. And there we go. This car is finally complete, and I am over the moon with how good it looks. I mean, this car looks absolutely brilliant. Now, it was a big risk. It was quite a big gamble buying this car because the whole front end was missing, and I actually didn't really know exactly why or what I was getting myself into. But I think the gamble paid off, because let me tell you how much I spent on the car and everything else it cost to get it to this point. Now, I paid £4,492 for the car, and I did give myself quite a tight budget, about £3,000 to try and get this repaired. So we'll see if I made it under budget and if it was actually worthwhile rebuilding this. So it was £4,492 for the car. First thing I bought was the Rat Pack, so that cost £739. Then was the service, so it was £296. I actually had to do it twice. That's why it's a bit more expensive. So if you want to see why, just click this link up here. Next up was the headlights with some brackets. That cost £391. Then was the bumper and all the grills, fog light surrounds. That came to a total of £454. And finally getting the car painted was £300. Now there's quite a few other little bits and pieces, documentation, some miscellaneous parts. So that came to a total of £176, which brings this total build to £6,847. So it's about 500 quid under the budget that I set myself. So I'm really pleased. And I actually just had a look on Auto Trader this morning. I couldn't find this exact car in this mileage, but they range from about 11 to 12,000 pounds. Now it is a Cat N, so yes, it will be a bit less, but I think we did quite well in rebuilding this. I think it was definitely worth the risk. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.